welcome back to Stage Bookish. My name is Olivia. I hope you are keeping well in these crazy times. I am here today to talk to you about some books and and it's the first time I've done this, so I'm interested to see how it works. What are my 4 most recent reads? Like I said, it's the first time I've done a recent reads video, but I'm interested to try it. Let me know what you think. Where I am going to talk about the last 4 books that I read. In fact, the last 4 books that I've read, but the first 4 books I've read while in quarantine. Depending on how long this goes on for, there could be a lot of these, to the point that this one I finished last night. I will openly say that when all this started, I was very much kind of one of those people going, yeah, don't worry about me, I'll be at home, I'll be locked down, I've got about 10,000 books that I need to read, I will be fine, I'm going to get so much reading done. I didn't read anything to start with. I didn't read anything at all to start with. And then it was thanks to some things I saw on social media and thanks to some suggestions from my friends that I picked up a genre that I'm not usually one to go for. But it was a way for me to kind of get back into reading and just really enjoying reading for the fun and the pleasure that you should be able to take reading for. And so today I want to talk to you about those, as well as the other 2 books on here, surprising ones that I never expected I'd talk about, but here I am. So let's make a start. I'm going to talk about, the first book I read in April is Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. Now, I first bought this, it was released I think September, October last year, and I bought it straight away because I love the kind of concept of it, of this badass female kind of taming the patriarchy, but I didn't pick it up till recently. I saw that Reagan on her channel Peruse Project had picked this up, and I was like, oh yeah, I've got that, maybe I should try reading that to get out of my slump. So I thought, you know what, let's have some romance, let's have some Regency romance. And so in I dived, at least for the first few chapters, and after a few chapters I was like, okay, a little bit smitten, this is really reminding me of Pride and Prejudice. Because Pride and Prejudice is one of my favourite classics. And as I got further in and further in, I was like, oh my god, this is really cute. And then it got to a certain point, I was like, yo, this is not a YA book like I thought it was. This is not a YA book. This is very much an adult romance book, if you get my drift. It focuses on our main character, Annabelle. This is set around the kind of early 1900s, during the time of Queen Victoria. Annabelle has been given a scholarship. She's from a well-to-do family, but after her father passed, she had to live with her cousin, who's very much oppressive and kind of sticking to what were the gender roles of the time. She actually gets a scholarship to go and study at the first women's only college at Oxford University. But the condition is the scholarship has been offered to her by the suffragette movement. So by taking up the scholarship, I didn't say a rude word, scholarship, she has to kind of fight the suffragette cause. She has to convince people to join them. She has to lobby, particularly men, to join the cause, because that was not something that was seen done at that time. So as one of her first kind of missions, if you like, she comes across the Devereuxs. In particular, she comes across Sebastian Devereux, who is our main male character, and he is the loner, arrogant, put up himself one who nobody can love because he's so cold, has this massive manor in the countryside and doesn't really care for things other than business. And originally Annabelle kind of goes to the house to attend a party held by Sebastian's brother, but she comes across Sebastian in a library. And it's their blossoming of their relationship from there. If you know this analogy, it will work for you. If you think very much Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy before they got together, it's very much that dynamic, but like I said, with some very adult content. This book is steamy. This book is very steamy. I was like, what? Whew. Oh, made me think about Pride and Prejudice like I've never thought about Pride and Prejudice before. But basically it kind of goes through there. You've got Sebastian, he's very much a royalist, he's very much kind of in the wealthier part of society, so him and Annabelle, different classes. He's lobbied to kind of support the anti-suffragette movement and kind of not be giving women more rights. And it kind of took, as much as the romance is very much central story, so it's a romance book, but it does touch upon those issues of class, of society, of gender roles, of kind of money, of what was expected. There's elements of race in there as well. I loved this. This is exactly what I needed. It was swoon worthy. It was doing things for me really well. And it was also so well written. I was completely invested. What is going to be really good to see is that Evie Dunmore has already got scheduled in. She at least is writing at least one more book in this series, but it's not a sequel. It's kind of focusing on some other characters that you've met briefly in book 1, but they're gonna get their own story in book 2. And I think it's called something like A Rogue of One's Own. I was like, Lord. Love this. Really, really highly recommend it. If you just need something fun, silly, and just something to distract you from the chaos of the world right now, I can't recommend this enough. In line with that, another one I'm going to mention, which very much again is I went down that adult romance kind of vibe, was Well Met by Jen DeLuca. This is another one that came out last year? September to October last year. This and Bringing Down the Duke came out at very, very similar times. And this one I thought, I need that kind of Regency, that kind of old school feel. But this one it's set in the modern day, but has that kind of Regency feel in that it is set at a Renaissance fair. I've never been to a Renaissance fair, but I've been told think medieval times in a forest. I don't know if that's true. In this one, we have our main character, Emily, who has recently moved to this kind of not necessarily countryside town, but this quieter town away from her previous life. She's had issues, an unamicable split with an ex who she thought was kind of really loving and caring. Turns out she was actually in a really oppressive relationship. And her sister... Yeah, her sister has been in a quite serious car accident, so she decides that at the same time she needs to get away from all the troubles, to move to Maryland and look after her sister and her niece, her sister's young daughter. While she's looking after her sister and taking her to all her appointments and getting her well, the niece convinces Emily to take her to sign up for that year's Renaissance fair. It's the first time she's done it, but while Emily's there and kind of sitting at the back ogling some guys, kilt, that's what I'm going to say. She actually finds out that apparently the only way that her niece can be involved is she has an adult to sign up who also works at the Renaissance fair. So she doesn't want to upset her niece, and that's how she does it. And it's at that first meeting she comes across Simon. Simon is one of the main organisers of the Renaissance fair, and is portrayed as very stuffy, very kind of straight-lipped, very kind of, you know, doesn't engage in banter and jokes and stuff. He takes everything very seriously. And essentially it's I think it was his brother was the creator of the fair, but his brother passed away, so now he has taken his brother's place and runs it. And essentially it is about Emily and Simon's relationship. Now, I know the way I've described what they're both like, you would not think there is a relationship there, but oh sweet lord, this is one of the most swoon-worthy relationships I have ever read about in my life. I was so invested, I was so desperate to just go, oh my god, will you two just get together? And then there's, you know, there's like a very kind of other potential love interest for Emily on the horizon. I was like, no, don't go with him, you need to stay for Simon. It's going to be for Simon. I did have to say, I spoke to a friend of mine, Katie, when I first started reading this, and I was like, I can't really gain who the love interest is. And she was like, oh my god, it's Simon. And I was like, no. But kind of the way, essentially, Emily melted Simon's ice heart, I was like, oh sweet lord almighty. Probably now one of my favourite couples I've ever read in fiction, up there with Lizzie and Darcy for me. And the kind of just all the light and all the fluff and all the swoon and all the awesomeness I needed right now, just along, like I said, with Bringing Down the Duke. But there's ups, there's downs, there's will they, there's won't they, there's he starts to be a bit more, you know, taking jokes with her, and then he gets really serious again, and she's like, why is he being so off with me? And it is, oh, you invest in them so much. This is another one where there is going to be, I think, at least 2 other books. where you will get, they are companions to this one. So in the next book, you get focusing on characters that you met in this, but they weren't the main ones. And likewise in the third book. Can't remember. I know in the third book, I can't remember who the guy is, but it is Emily's sister who's recovering from his like serious accident here. Is actually the most romantic interest in book 3. So I'm fascinated to read that. This is just the fluff and the wonderfulness that I needed in my world right now, and I hold it preciously and I hold it to my heart, and it was just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. It's just all fluff and loveliness, and then my reading took a turn because I got on the phone to my I was on the phone video call, sorry, to my youngest sister, 15 years old. Just found out the exam she's been working to 5 years have been cancelled and hasn't really got a lot to do with herself. And she was telling me how obsessed she recently is with the world of the Shadowhunters, which is a number of book series within the same world created by Cassandra Clare. She was upset. Was she on the last book of the Mortal Instruments? She was either on book 5 or 6 of the Mortal Instruments. And she was like, it's so good, you have to read it. And I was like, babe, I'm not sure if my brain can take like a 5-6 book series right now. And she was like, but no, you have to read it. And she was telling me all these things about Parabatai and kind of the difference between like angels and demons, and then this family and Herondales and Lightwoods, and I was like, I don't understand what you're talking about. She was like, well, you've got to read it, you've got to read it. And being the wonderful oldest sister that I am, polish my hair, I was like, okay, I'm not going to commit to 6 books of the Mortal Instruments. However, as you probably may have seen in a book haul or on my Instagram, which you'll put this link down below, I have recently bought, because the synopsis made me really curious, Chain of Gold, which apparently follows on from the original series, The Infernal Devices. The Infernal Devices is part of the Cassandra Clare world. It is before the Mortal Instruments. It is set in Victorian era London. So I said to my sister, I was like, okay, you finish the Mortal Instruments and then we'll read the Infernal Devices together, because I want to read Chain of Gold. And she was like, okay, yeah, fine. Got myself some ebooks, got myself sorted. So the first one was Clockwork Angel. And I was like, this is never going to work. She's never going to convince me of this series. I'd actually got to the point was like, if I don't like the Infernal Devices, I will send you my copy of Chain of Gold. And she was like, okay. So we agreed, week's read, 21 chapters, 3 chapters a day. Oh my God, I loved it. I never thought I would say that. I loved this. I absolutely adored it. Short version. I can't tell you too much because it kind of, I don't want to ruin the story, and certainly the unexpected nature of some of the things that happened blew my mind and was one of the best things about it. So you have Miss Tessa Gray, who at the start of the book arrives in London, having received a letter from her brother Nathaniel saying, come to London. Kind of the only relatives they had lived in America. The only relatives they had passed away. So she comes off the boat in Southampton, it got diverted to, and is picked up by 2 women who apparently have been sent by Nathaniel. You learn that these are the Dark Sisters, and actually they work for an organisation called the Pandemonium Club. Apparently they have Nathaniel captured, tied up, being tortured somewhere, and the only way that she will get him, keep him safe, is to practice her ability. Now Tessa's like, ability? What? I'm human, what are you going on about? And as the first few chapters of the book unfold, you learn that Tessa has an ability to change. She can hold an object from a person, alive or dead, and with a lot of focus and a lot of what sounds like really bad and painful training, she has the ability to change into these people and then kind of unlock their memories and be that person. Through the horrific time she has with the Dark Sisters, she is rescued by two young gentlemen. One of them is a gentleman called Will Herondale, and one of them is a gentleman called James Carstairs, who likes to be known as Jem, and they are from the London Institute of Shadowhunters. Tessa is taken there after she is rescued from the Dark Sisters and introduced to this whole wealth of characters that then unfolds into this massive story with Tessa at the one point, but then she meets Jem, she meets Will, there's Charlotte and Henry, and there's Jessamine, and there's all these characters, and it is the wildest ride. It is such a bonkers, bonkers, bonkers wild ride. I couldn't get over it how much I really just enjoyed it. I loved it. I was like, oh my God, I've got to go and tell her she's right. I don't want to go and tell her she's right. She's going to like go on and on and on me going, I told you so. I loved it. Obsessed. So it's just, I loved it. If you are sceptical about picking up the Shadowhunters, any books from the Shadowhunters world, I would suggest here, chronologically, I believe this is the start. This was the second series published, but in the world, as far as events go, chronologically, this is first, because it's Victorian. It's kind of got Victorian, Gothic, England, but it's like Victorian England, but werewolves and vampires and all the spooky goodness. I couldn't get over how much I liked it. So needless to say, from there, I went straight into book 2 for the Infernal Devices. Now this one was my first book for my Reading Rush TBR, so I will link my Reading Rush TBR down below. Depending on when this video goes up, I will also link my Reading Rush wrap-up, because 2 of the books on that were this one, which is Clockwork Prince, which is Infernal Devices book 2, and Clockwork Princess, which is Infernal Devices book 3. So depending on when this goes up, you might have my Reading Rush wrap-up down below as well. So Clockwork Angel, I can't really tell you the story of Clockwork Angel without ruining Clockwork Prince, without ruining Clockwork Angel. But this is very much continuation of book 1. What I liked about this one is, because, and it seems obvious, that being book 2 in a series, I knew this world, I knew I liked this world, I am invested in these characters, I want to see them be okay and do really well. So literally I absolutely threw myself into this. Me and my sister, again, we started with we'll do 3 chapters a day, it'll take us like a week to read. So after one day we both spoke to each other, and it was like, I said, oh, I'm on the end of chapter 3, start chapter 4, and she was like, I'm on chapter 6. I was like, okay, back. But we talked about how much we were loving it and how much we were loving the flow of it, and then she said to me, she was like, let's just not say how many chapters we'll read by tomorrow, let's just read and then we'll talk about it. I was like, okay. So I went to read a few chapters that night, and then I read a few more, and then I read a few more, and then I stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning reading, then woke up the next day and read some more and read some more, and then I rang her and I was like, you loving it? She's like, yeah, so good. What do you think of the... I was like, yeah, it's good. Where did you say you're up to again? She said, I'm halfway through chapter 9. And she went, well, where are you up to? I was like... She went, you haven't finished it. I went, about 10 minutes ago. And the verbal abuse I got, I'm not even going to go into. But then it was quite funny watching her up till midnight last night as I'm filming this, reacting to all the things that I knew were coming. And I know for a fact both of us are starting Clockwork Princess, which is book 3 in this series today. I enjoyed this one. I would probably say, if you were talking about, I'll talk about star ratings in a minute, but probably because I knew the world a bit more and I knew the characters and I felt so invested in this one. I was exhausted after I read this. This is a ride. This is an absolute ride of a book. But probably because I was more settled into the world, I thought this was improvement star ratings wise on Clockwork Angel. Okay? They're my 4 most recent reads. Let's talk ratings. I don't remember what ratings I gave half of these books. Let's have a look. I do remember what I gave the 2 Infernal Devices books. Is that bad? Where's my trusty Goodreads? Trusty Goodreads, trusty Goodreads 2020 reading challenge. Okay, I gave Bringing Down the Duke 5 stars. Well Met, 4.5 stars. Clockwork Angel, 4 stars. And at the moment, I've got Clockwork Prince at a 4.5 stars. It might go up to a 5. I'm going to read Clockwork Princess and I'm going to kind of average out across the 3. I can't believe it's just... I'm just loving them. I'm just loving them. Like I said, my next read is going to be Clockwork Princess. Depending on when this video goes up, or you might be able to check below to check my thoughts. I'm just loving it at the moment, and thankfully I seem to be on an upward curve when it comes to my reading. I did notice that actually I have another book that I should have mentioned here, but I'll save that for my end of the month wrap up. You can wait and see what that is. It's actually my first book for my Reading My Faves project. So stay tuned for that at the end of the month. What are you currently reading in this wonderful time of lockdown? Are you finding it easy to read, struggling to read? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to speak to you there and kind of find out what you're reading. Where should I go Shadowhunters wise next? Tell me down below if there's any fans out there. This has been Stage Bookish. My name is Olivia. You awesome folk. Stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye!